This is Charter California Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance, and we are joined by Steve Adams. He is the Mayor Pro Tem of the city of Riverside, also a candidate for the United States Congress. He is running in the 41st Congressional District, which includes Riverside, Moreno Valley, Parasupa Valley, some unincorporated areas. Areas that folks really thought were in trouble if you go back 5 years, but boy, have they bounced back.
They have.
Unbelievable. Talk to us about job creation.
Well, I think we got a brief opportunity to speak of this before. Our industry in this region was agriculture and home building, both of which are very cyclical and very down right now. One of which may not come back, if at all.
Home building or ag. It's hard to know both. I mean, with the drought and with home building, you just don't know.
Exactly. So they're very, very tough industries. So 7-8 years ago, we decided, for the city of Riverside, we need to change the industry of our region. And we decided that what's going to be the best for long-term future growth. And that was high-tech industry. And we brought in a medical school.
UCR Med.
UCR Medical
Open this
School.
year.
It's open, it's running. We're already starting to see the jobs that have come in. Just 3 weeks ago, we were named the #1 job creator in the nation.
And I read, if I may interrupt, that UCR Med just got accredited for a psychiatry residency. So the good news just keeps rolling in in terms of positive for UCR Med.
Those jobs, that education brings in high-paying jobs because we're going to have more medical support programs. We have a medical campus that looks like it may get in Moreno Valley. So it benefits the entire region. And it's creating jobs in those regions, high-paying jobs, it's create middle-paying jobs in those entry levels. And you have to have all of that.
And it couldn't happen at a better time, given that Riverside, the county, had a dearth of primary care physicians. And whatever you think about the Affordable Care Act, there's going to be a need for more primary care physicians and just physicians generally.
Exactly.
And, with population growth. So, and I know that part of UCR Med's mission is to admit those that are from the area, at least 50% of the class. So the hope is they'll stay.
Right. The general rule is where you serve your internship, you generally stay there because you start to build a clientele of patients. And that's what we're hoping for. In some specialty cases, the city of Riverside is looking with partnering with the county of Riverside for those much needed specialties to say, if you'll stay here for 6 years, 7 years, we'll pay your tuition.
Nice.
It's essential for the people that live here and that we serve.
I want to go global a bit, if I may. I know that you're a student of foreign affairs, and the situation in the Ukraine is devastating. It really is. Europe has had such a tough century. I mean, we're literally celebrating the 100th anniversary of World War I. I wouldn't say that we're on the verge of World War III in Europe, but who would have thought 6 months ago that the Ukraine, with all its oil, with all of its riches, would be in the midst of arguably a civil war, an aggressive Russia on its borders, the Crimea may be gone. In terms of Ukrainian sovereignty. What do you make of it, sir?
Well, my belief is that Crimea is gone. It has been annexed back into Russia. And that I believe that oil flow is the property of the nation of Russia. And they want to protect that.
It is hard to deny that. I mean, they are Russian/Soviet oil fields and oil pipelines.
And so they have to protect that because that's one of their money generators, and they're on an economic edge as well. So some of the economic efforts that we're taking will have an impact on them. But what I'm afraid of is now we see the Ukrainian military kind of edging up, and we're getting to that point where we've had a couple little minor skirmishes and stuff. But I don't want to see it go beyond that. We just put troops, boots on the ground in Poland to send a message. I hope that message is received.
What's so frustrating, I think about Germany in 1938 with the Sudetenland, and where Germany insisted that they annex the Sudetenland from Czechoslovakia because they needed to protect the interests of German-speaking Czechs. Well, the Russians are saying the exact same thing about Eastern Ukraine. We need to protect the interests of Russian-speaking Ukrainians. I don't know. I mean, does the language that you speak really matter in terms of your citizenship?
No.
Your national
National
identity?
sovereignty is essential. We have every language-speaking people that come to the United States.
Is Mexico going to start coming
Right,
in to protect Spanish speakers?
That's not going to occur, and nor should we allow it to occur. It puts us in a dangerous edge. And the things that I'm more concerned about than the Ukraine is the chain reactions of things that we're seeing with Iran, with North Korea, with Syria, with the Middle East flow of oil. We've turned a lot of things and power over to Russia, and we've abdicated our power. And our power keeps peace. Theirs creates chaos, and chaos will create
But it's
war.
interesting, and I'm not denying what you're saying, but for better or for worse, Americans still are fairly Eurocentric, North Atlantic-centric. And so even though, I'm sure you've heard about South Sudan where the massacres continue, and yet we're still focused on the Ukraine. That is the story that's at the top of mind. And so I come back to it and ask, what can be done? Is it in our interest to get more involved? Are we on the verge of another Cold War or Cold War light?
Well, that's probably the best description of it. I think we are there because it's right now it's a chess game. We can't afford, nor should we, put troops in the middle of this. It's too far away. It's a losing proposition to begin with. But we do need to show through economic methods of really in isolating Russia from the rest of the world, through banking, through different things, to get them to slow down because they are on the brink. They don't have the financial support or capabilities that a lot of the world thinks they have.
But could one say that, look, this is an isolated case. The Crimea, just look at the map. It looks like it's in Russia anyway. They have serious interest there. As long as they just, get out of eastern Ukraine, let them take the Crimea, that we should just, call it a day.
Well, I don't think there's much we can. I think Crimea just consider it gone.
It's already gone.
I don't see any way to reverse that.
Okay.
But the rest of it needs to be a sovereign nation and we're in the 21st century.
Right.
That should not be happening now. There's no benefit to Russia. They can't afford to maintain that country.
Right, one would think.
So it cripples them. So what is the ultimate motive for this type of thing, other than a power grab to go back to where they were?
But do they
30,
want that?
40?
Think about it. They went bankrupt. The reason the Soviet Union fell is because they couldn't keep up.
Exactly.
So do they?
I can't,
I know, we're not Russian.
I can't get inside their brain,
Right.
so I don't know what it is, but I think it's extremely dangerous because the precedent they're setting there is allowing others to feel strengthened that they can go out and try different things. And just think, if 4 or 5 of those countries that I just said, North Korea, Iran, some of these, all try something at once, what happens?
But if you were in the Congress and you could whisper into the ear of Speaker John Boehner or President Obama on the issue of the Ukraine, what would you recommend?
If you make a promise, keep it.
We
have lost credibility, and that's not good.
But have we, on the Ukraine, are we losing credibility? I know that
I
there's been
think
issues with Syria.
we're talking about Syria. We have an ally in Israel that right now is pretty much isolated.
Right.
And they think we're kind of stepping away,
Right.
which could force something none of us on this earth would like to
Sure.
see. And they may have no choice.
But what about on the Ukraine specifically?
I don't think it's a tragedy. It's not a good thing, but I don't think it's something where we should even contemplate military action. We can support them as we're starting to with food and supplies, maybe non-lethal military support of that nature, but I wouldn't step beyond that because we're teetering. And again, Russia is playing a game, but they can't afford this game very long.
It's baffling.
It takes a lot of intelligence, a lot of discipline to be able to deal with this, but we need to have a line and keep it and stand it, because if we don't, people around the nation, around the world, are watching what happens. When America goes weak, the world is in danger.
He is Steve Adams. My name is Brad Pomerance, and this is Charter California Edition.